Greetings, programs. My name is Wretch, and I'd like to welcome you to Vampire the Masquerade Out for Blood. We are continuing our vigil until VTM Bloodlines 2 comes out, guys, but in that time, Choice of Games and other companies have come out with some really good VTM titles, and one of the ones that excited me the most when I played it was VTM Night Road, which was an awesome choose-your-own-adventure game where you got to play kind of a vampire courier and all of their adventures through Arizona. And looks like Choice of Games is coming out with a brand new one here, Out for Blood, but this time we actually get to see how it is on the other side of the fence, and we play a mortal hunter. Now, I haven't really talked a whole lot about mortal hunters in regards to VTM or the World of Darkness, but it's actually a very fun system. Of course, you have Hunter the Reckoning, where the hunters have a lot of superpowers, but you also have this right here. This is my V20 edition of the Hunters Hunted, specifically the Hunters Hunted 2, which just talks about all the different organizations across the world that encounter and deal with the supernatural that are primarily just mortals, using their wits, using technology, sometimes some form of noumena, like psychic abilities and hedge magic, but it's a really cool way to go about it, and I'm very interested to see how this pans out in the world of the new Vampire the Masquerade, which we saw during Night Road and we're hoping to look forward to in VTM Bloodlines 2. So let's go ahead and jump in this and see what it's all about. I am playing music from the original Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's probably going to get copywritten and blocked, but you know, it's all right. Vampire the Masquerade Out for Blood by Jim Datillo or Datillo. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. I apologize if I butchered it either way there. Chapter 1, Jericho Heights. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring. Bram Stoker, Dracula. Just after merging onto I-80, your grandfather's college graduation gift sputters and grinds. A fitting acknowledgement that only 10 miles of road remain between you and your childhood nightmares. The old Ford Taurus has seen better days, and today the red beast is coughing smoke. At least no other cars follow, so you take your time through the wide highway. As you see a sign for Stillview Reservoir, recall a shortcut. Jericho Heights rest in an ocean of farmland, and taking back roads through Long Valley Park is less mileage to put on the red beast. Dusk is turned to night, and you're only a few miles from your grandfather's home. The engine groans as you bear right, taking the exit for the reservoir. Red and white oak line each side and hang overhead, like silent sentinels, blocking all but slivers of moonlight. Your grandfather would take you here as a kid for nature walks, bird watching, day camping. When you were older, he'd test your survival skills by leaving you deep in the center of the park to find your way home. You learned the trails and landmarks, learned to move by following the stars or the sun. All that learning didn't stop the nightmares of terrible things lurking. One day, you began to notice your grandfather stalking nearby, keeping watch over you. You never let on that you knew. It's how you know there's someone tracking you now. But this time, it's not your grandfather. That would be impossible anyway. He died 2 weeks ago. You're heading to Jericho Heights to handle his affairs, in fact. This feels more like the symptoms before an illness. A scratchy throat, upset stomach, fever. You grip the wheel as you scan the forest. Nothing but trees. Something flashes from the right. You hear a loud thump on the right's front bumper, and the red beast jerks left. Losing control, the car spins and skids like the tires caught ice. The car slows as it hits grass, and you twist the wheel back to the road. In your rearview mirror, you catch a glimpse of a figure standing at the edge of the brush, clutching its side. A moment later, it falls back, disappearing into the greenery. Your mind reels at the thought of hitting someone. Maybe a hiker? You lift your phone. 0 bars. Of course, out here in the middle of the park, there's no signal. The engine sputters and cuts out. You turn the ignition, but it won't turn over. Great. Now you're stuck. Did you hit someone? Safe to go out here? Doesn't this seem like the start of a bad horror movie? First, I want to turn on the stat check indicator, also known as Storyteller Mode. That is the first thing I'd like to do. That served us very well during Night Road. Storyteller Mode notifies you when your stats change during the story and will tell you which attributes and skills are used when selecting an option. It'll only tell you the stats used without modifiers, such as health loss or willpower usage. Now, due to the fact that we're kind of playing a solo VTM campaign, or World of Darkness campaign in this case, I do like having Storyteller Mode on because you get to keep track of your character, for lack of a better term. Okay. Now, due to the fact that we know we're being stalked, and we almost hit, I definitely want to see what we hit, because it could be a hiker, it could be an innocent person. So out of all of these options here, we're going to step out and check on the figure. We're more worried about whoever we hit than the actual red beast. Kind-hearted +7. You step out from the car and walk to the shoulder, moving in short, measured paces. Something doesn't feel right about this place, but you need to search for the person you struck. Cold wind gusts and you hug your body to keep warm. You've never noticed a July night in Jericho Heights to leave you wanting a jacket. In the dim moonlight, the park has taken on a haze. You can barely see 5 feet ahead and only stop when you kick something where the road meets grass. A thick tree limb lies in the brush, one end broken and jagged, moist with sap. Something must have just ripped it down. Leaving it, you step into the tree line to search for the figure your car hit. The woods are thick with darkness, but you continue. Stepping only a few yards into the park, you see no signs of broken twigs or flattened grass and no path an injured person could have taken. Your grandfather taught you how to read your surroundings. His words still play in your mind. These woods will answer you. Just ask the right questions. You walk another few yards, and now a mist rises from the floor of the park. Grass breaks on your right. Something crosses overhead, an echoing howl to your left. What could it be? A wild cat? No, cats don't make that sound. They're evil goblins haunting the woods. Are you alone? A voice calls from all around, high-pitched and melodic like spoken words in a song. Are you afraid? The voice asks. You turn, searching for the source of that voice. Funny to call it a source. A person made that sound. Or did they? Could it be the wind? Is your mind playing tricks on you? Fear seeps in, but you force it away. As a child, you were lost in these woods many times. You're no child now. Okay, I think even for me, right now, my Akbar sense would be tingling quite a bit. Who are you? Show yourself. Domineering +8. You scan the trees, turning in a complete circle. You can't see anything in the mist and darkness. The night air blows colder now, raising the tiny hairs on your arms. You shiver and start walking through the woods to warm up and get your blood pumping. Somehow you make a circle back to your car. Something is out there in the park only a few yards from your car. It wants to hurt you. Why hasn't it? Is any of this even real? You pinch yourself to check that you're not asleep. You flinch from the pain. Of course you're not asleep. It's not how these stories should start. You try to start the red beast, but the engine fails to turn. You have no choice but to step outside and pop the hood. At first glance, you see nothing wrong. It's an old car with old parts, and you haven't changed the battery in years. The connection to the engine looks loose, so you jiggle it until it seems tighter. Something moves nearby, pulling your focus away from the car. You spot a streak of white through the dark and follow it to a lone branch in a line of trees just beyond the edge of the woods. Form takes shape. You can almost make out someone watching you. Sudden wailing overtakes the park. a thundering roar from the sky. It consumes the trees, echoing through them with a crackle, encompassing all other sounds. Your body tenses, limbs seized with fear and anticipation. Low clouds roll in, dark and heavy against the deep blue sky. Your eyes turn to the figure on the trees, but it's gone. A sapling sways and then a bush rustles. That thing is moving closer to your car. Your heart races. Despite the cold, your skin feels hot, with the worst fever. Your jaw clenches. Is this what terror feels like? A figure steps from the darkness. She's young, maybe toward the end of her teens. She wears a baggy, dark sweatsuit with blocks of white on the arm and legs, and her hair looks silver in the moonlight. "What's up?" she says and sits on a tangle of roots shaped like a stool. "You're not from Jericho, right?" "Hey, GL. Hey, Flower." I'd be very confused right now, but I ignore her question. "Did I hit you with my car? Are you okay?" Kind-hearted +7. Oh, look at us. She smiles but covers her mouth. "I'm fine. You didn't hit me." She glances at your bumper. "I don't know what you hit, but you can get your car fixed in the Heights, that's for sure." So glad to hear that. I thought I'd hit someone. He runs a hand through her hair and pushes it all to the right side. Streaks of black show from the roots. Her skin is pale white and almost glows in the moonlight. She has a powerful jawline with the darkest and deepest eyes you have ever seen. "Wait! Oh, fuck! I have seen you before. I know your grandfather. How's he doing?" How do we do this? How do we word that? Yeah, let's just do this. "He passed away a few weeks ago." "How did you know him?" Her eyes go wide. "Passed away? Oh my god, he was so nice to me. He's one of the nicest people in that whole psycho town." "So you shopped at his store or lived near him?" "Everyone knows your Gramps. He was beloved. God, I wish I knew he died before today." She blows out a long sigh until her lips flutter and make a razz. "All right, I guess I'm out." She rises from the ground and starts away into the trees. "Hey, do you need a ride somewhere? It's not safe out here." She laughs as she continues. "Nah, I'm good. You be safe." Or, "You be safe," she says, stressing the word "you." As she walks away, you watch the darkness in the forest consume her. What a strange encounter on a strange night. You climb back in the car and turn the key. The engine starts. Finally! You pull the red beast onto the road. Gaining speed, you leave the scene behind, along with the young woman. When you adjust your rearview mirror, you can't find her in the reflection. A minute later, you're driving along the center of the lane, illuminated by moonlight through the clear sky. Whatever you just experienced defies logic. None of it makes sense. The girl, the wailing cry, her being out here alone. Even the sudden cold lacks explanation. Definitely got a bad feeling about it. Something off with that girl. Hope I never see her again. Matter of fact, +7. A young woman alone in the park at night? What was she doing there? Something tells you she's trouble, and you don't want to know why. You try to forget about her. Your hands hurt and you loosen your grip on the steering wheel. Sweat runs down your back, making you itch. You take some deep breaths. This is no way to go home. A road sign reads, Village of Jericho Heights, next exit. Close now. You perk up at the side of the first few houses on the outskirts. A steeple juts above the treetops in the distance. The Episcopalian Church of Jericho Heights. Religion has always been important here. Your grandfather believed in a divine power, but also believed in other things. He gave you a chemistry set for your 10th birthday and took you hiking to point out medicinal plants. He pushed you into studying math and science. He spoke to his ancestors in his dreams and read fortune and tea leaves. You could never pinpoint his beliefs in any one philosophy or tradition. He seemed to like it that way. Grandpa was a powerful figure in other ways. He was physically fit with an unmatched fortitude, and he was one of the most likable, sociable people you've ever known. He ran a store in town his whole life, but always pushed you towards a different career. Ooh. So, what would I want to be? Professional athlete, got involved in a life of crime, went to the police academy and learned how to fire a gun, but also how to resolve problems without violence, connection to the occult, joining ROTC in college, planned on the military life, or a doctoral fellowship. Which sounds the most interesting, guys? There's potential in all of them. I'm kind of leaning... Okay, Kath says occultist. I'm either leaning toward occultist or the police academy. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and do this how we normally figure out these problems. Make him a vampire fighting luchador. Okay, so we're gonna go evens, police, odds, occultist. All right, here we go. Ooh, that's not good. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I just rolled a 1. Let's say we go ahead and get those out of the way, shall we? Occultist it is. On a botch. Your grandfather trained you from an early age to respect the many forces in the extra-natural world. Even when you weren't visiting your grandfather, you kept up your studies and learned as much as possible in such matters as fortune-telling, contacting spirits, and placing hexes. After years in the pursuit, you consider yourself a field practitioner, fortune teller, scholar. I would say field practitioner because it makes sense, especially if he had us like doing stuff out in the field and training us, you know, in his way. Many nights spent in the wilderness. I think it's a nice progression of the character from how they were raised. So let's go ahead and do that. We are a field practitioner. You spent time not only in the parks around Chicago, but also in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, camping, canoeing, hiking trails. You learn to observe those elements connected to the spirit world. You develop the ability to tap into these supernatural forces to divine the future or to curse others, though every time you draw from other worlds, it was a part of yourself. While you enjoyed being in a small town for the summers in your childhood and teenage years, the big city of Chicago, Chi-Town, the Windy City, gained a lot from living there in the rest of the year. You explored all the diverse communities, North Side, Gold Coast, the Cabrini Green, the Chinatown, and the South Side. Mostly you built up a great deal of resources, influence, contacts. Probably out of all of these, if you're, you know, out in the wilderness and you do go into town, I think contacts would probably be better. I don't know if you'd have a whole lot of influence or resources. While in Chicago, you met a number of people in numerous walks of life you can call on for information and favors. Often these contacts will do things for you out of respect, but other times they may require something in return. Ahead of you, the road divides. You take the road on the left toward the south part of town and your grandfather's store. You lean forward to glance at the road ahead, and sure enough, you spot a deep pothole. Been there since you were a teenager. Glancing over to the passenger seat, you imagine your grandfather sitting there, telling you to avoid the crater at mile marker 9. Red and blue flashing lights draw your attention from behind. Siren blares once, then twice. You pull to the shoulder. In the rearview mirror, you spot a Jericho Heights Sheriff's Office cruiser rolling to a stop behind your car. A crisp, clean, uniformed woman steps out. Her hair sits in the tightest bun you've ever seen. She takes out a notepad as she approaches. You cut the engine and roll down the window, letting in the night air and the sound of crickets. "Evening," she says and leans on the hood of the beast. "License, registration, proof of insurance." You flip down your sun visor and papers flutter down. Sure, one moment," you say, and scramble to gather them from the floor, dashboard, and between the two front seats. She blows out a grumbling sigh. "How about we start with your name? I can run it quick." "Right. My name is..." Ooh. It's something unique. "Your name is what?" I like Morgan. We're gonna go ahead and go with Morgan. You look at the deputy's name tag. April Maya. You know that name from? "And your last name?" Maya asks, wrapping her fingers on the car's hood. A flashlight comes from her belt and shines it in the car. In the glow, you can now see a diamond-shaped scar under her right eye. Morgan Lee. Maya nods. "Thank you." She addresses you as a woman, a man, a non-binary individual. Okay. That's some good police training. "A man?" Maya nods, her lips tight. "Thank you, sir. Be right back. Stay put." You collect the documents as she walks away, piling them in your hands. You look out the window back at Deputy Maya. The bright headlights from her cruiser cast an eerie glow around her wiry frame, turning her tan complexion pale. She taps on a thick handheld device like an illuminated pack of cigarettes. Her square jaw pokes out even farther while she concentrates on the device. Something hits your windshield and scrapes across it. You jump. Twisting in your seat, you spot a single twig sitting in the middle of the plexiglass. Footsteps pound the ground near your car and you twist again. It's Maya. You think fast. You have no idea why she even pulled you over. Does it have to do with that stranger looking in the woods? Did you tell the deputy about her? How can you get out of this? What do you guys think? Persuade the deputy into I don't know, charisma and persuasion. Pressure into letting go. The police of any kind make me uncomfortable. If I have to, I'll flee the scene. You know, let's go ahead and sidetrack and go right to the meat of the matter. Did you happen to see a young woman a little way back down the road? I saw her not long ago. Impulsive. She shakes her head at you. No, I haven't seen anyone out here tonight except you. Now how about your paperwork? You hand her your ID and other documents. While she inspects them, you say, I thought it was strange to see someone out in the woods this time of night. I didn't think people camped this far from Jericho Heights. As she hands you back your paperwork and parts her lips to speak, her walkie-talkie buzzes and beeps. She lifts it high from her belt and presses the button. Go for car 4? A long delay of static pauses. April, you car 4? A raspy voice says. She sighs and turns away. Yes, Miss Mabel, you know I drive car 4. You near the market? We need creamer and some of those tea biscuits the sheriff likes. Oh, heck, can't you get Bernard to do it? She moves away from your car and you can't hear more of the conversation. She's only gone for a few moments and then returns, face red, as she slips the walkie-talkie back in her belt. We gotta move this along. You know you got damage to your car? The right front bumper is dinged up and the headlight's hanging. It may be safe to drive, but you need to go get it fixed. Technically, I could write you a citation, but if you promise to take care of it, I'll give you a pass. How is that sarcastic? This car's so old, I'm afraid to get it fixed, but I'll go to a mechanic tomorrow. No. Thanks for letting me know. I'll get it fixed the first chance I have. I appreciate the deputy for letting me know, which is true. Kind-hearted. You got a lot of kind heart. Relationship with Deputy April Maya, +9. Oh, we got relationships with individual characters. Interesting. She gives the hood a tap like she's stamping approval. Well, that's great to hear. Over in Jericho Heights, there are some body shops that could take care of it for you. I can't recommend anyone, as it's a conflict of interest, but everyone in town is fair and honest. A tree rustles several yards away, and you track movement through a tangle of branches. A momentary gleam of red moves through the dead space and disappears. Deputy Maya scratches her chin. So let me ask you something. You know anyone down there in the Heights? I figure that's where you're heading, and you share the name of a store owner from there. Goes by the same last name as yours, Lee. Yeah, my grandfather. I see no reason to lie. Truthful +7, relationship +7. For the first time, she smiles. I knew it. You sure remind me of him. How's he doing? Still as ornery as ever, I bet. He once chased me out of his shop with a broom. Of course, this is when I was a troublemaking teenager. I was about to go in and ask for change of a 20 in pennies and toss them up in the air and yell, "Pennies from heaven." Not sure why we even thought it was funny. So, how is your grandpa? He's dead! That's the thing, how do people not know he's dead? That's strange. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 weeks ago. That's sort of what brings me here, I'd say. +3, kind-hearted. Maya blows out a sigh. Gosh, I am so sorry. I hadn't heard he passed. I've been off duty for a few weeks, moving my mother to Aurora. She got a job running a trucking company. Shame to hear about Mr. Lee. Now that we know, kind of where it is, I'm gonna change Maya's voice to be slightly Fargo-ish. Just a little. Thanks, I appreciate it. She steps from your car and stares at the long stretch of highway. I recommend you get to where you're going and fast. Darkness is thick. Never know if something's coming. Weather, I mean. 1 minute everything's calm and the next... Well, anyway, I've taken enough of your time. You go ahead. Have a good night. Be safe. A long howl emanates from the park. Maya hastens to her cruiser, stumbling over her feet as she spins. When she bends, the nightstick slips from her belt and she fumbles to grab it. From across the road, a shadow crosses from tree to tree, growing tall and wide and then shrinking to something human-shaped. Red ovals cut through the dark, slanted and piercing. with a sliver of black cutting the middle, like the eyes of a demon cat. Go! Go! Maya yells to you, waving her hand like she's swimming against a current. Fog floats out of the park, sneaking across the ground in tendrils toward the deputy. It moves around her car, swallowing it. Your skin crawls. You hear your heartbeat, sudden and pounding. With the open road ahead and Maya stumbling, you... Rush out to help her to her car. I want to know what's out in the park. Turn my car toward the trees and shine the headlights into the fog. The light will drive off whatever is out there. I doubt that, but if I was in the car, I figured that would be the first thing that I would do. I'd either do that or rush out of the car to help her, but because we're behind the wheel, I think it would be easier to go ahead and do that. Does that sound reasonable, guys? See if we can reveal what's trying to stalk. I'm trying to go into this, and I always think that people who play hunters or like new vampires, you can't have any preset assumptions on what things are. Like if you see a fog, you can't be like, oh, this is a vampire with Protean 5 or something like that. You kind of need to clear your mind and not have those kind of assumptions. Not only for the good of the chronicle that you're playing, but also you don't, you know, it's more true to life for the character. Okay. We're gonna turn the car toward the trees. Oop. Idealistic +7. You yank on the gear shift, backing the car several yards and turn on the headlights. Like beacons from a lighthouse, the two high yellow beams cut through the mist, forcing away the darkness. Then a sound rises, first as clicks from some preternatural calling and then forming into one shrill tone as if from an animal in pain. You cup your hands over your ears and rock in your seat. Shut your eyes as well. Could it be? What could it be? Your eyes pop open as hands slam against your window. Deputy Maya waves her hands to the road. Go! Just drive! Darkness swells behind you. A sudden shudder overtakes your body. Whether it's the bleak coldness or some sense of flight, your arms shake and your teeth chatter. Your vision tilts from side to side like you're riding a wave. Pressing your foot on the gas pedal, the old car lunges forward. A scream cries out from the roadside, but you fight the urge to turn. At the on-ramp, you shake your head violently until your vision clears. Bright highway lights illuminate the road. Yellow lines on the asphalt guide your path. Back on the open highway, you relax into the last leg of your journey. The fresh night air, laced with the scent of hickory, clears your mind. That harrowing experience is already leaving your thoughts. You touch a charm on a necklace around your throat. You never take it off. It brings you comfort in times of stress. It's a power crystal, an object with healing qualities and a connection to the spirit world. Double helix representing interests in science. To tell you the truth, I kind of like the fact that you would be like a caster and involved in that kind of stuff. Why not a power glove? It's so bad. But I like having the double helix as a nice kind of counteract. We're gonna be a person of contradictions, just like our grandfather. The two-stranded symbol of a DNA molecule. You bought the pendant on a field trip to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. and have never taken it off. You drive for another mile with steady rain on your windshield. The wipers squeal as they clear the water. An old sign hangs on a post at the next marker. Village of Jericho Heights. Population 19,402. Enter freely of your own will, and leave some of the happiness you bring. You haven't been back to the Heights since a short visit in college. Before that, you could have considered it a second home. You stayed with your grandfather every summer throughout your childhood and most of your teen years. You helped in your grandfather's store and even made friends. You, Sarah, and Adam were fairly inseparable. Townspeople called you the Three Musketeers, while Grandpa called you the Three Stooges. Both names were right. The summer before you started high school, you all began to go your own way. Once you returned home, you rarely found the time to keep in touch with them. Everyone was busy and focused on their own interests. Adam joined the football team as backup quarterback while practicing in the debate club. He was smart and funny, but awkward and lacked confidence. Sarah was the opposite, more of a charmer than an athlete. She was in the most popular clique, played Emily Webb, the lead in Our Town, in senior year, and organized an anti-prom that everyone went to instead. She also was an amazing artist, shipping off on weekends 2 hours each way to take classes in Chicago. In high school, you were... I figure unlike both of them and a bit of a free spirit. Yeah. You were more interested in your own hobbies and interests than academics, athletics, or the many cliques that separated themselves in high school. You found others who share your interest, though Adam and Sarah remain your closest friends throughout your childhood. You always felt that drive to continue your education, whether you took online courses or just watched lots of YouTube videos. Friends would teach you things, or you'd seek out knowledge in unconventional ways. I chose various fields of interest for study and training. I customized my education based on what interested me. Let's do that. You may add 8 levels to your skills by choosing below. Oh god. Okay. Actually, can we... Oh, no. I've done it. Intimidation, investigation, clandestine, leadership, occult, persuasion, science and technology. Let's go ahead and raise our science and technology. And we have 8 to spend, right? Definitely want to go combat because I figure we would learn how to shoot a gun and everything being out in the wilderness. I'm going to go ahead and get combat of 2. Athletics, 2. I know it's going to be like, oh, jack of all trades, but we want to be like very honest to ourselves, you know? I like the awareness of 3. I don't know if intimidation is something that we would care about. Survival being 4 is chef kiss. Let's go occult for an extra. Maybe investigation? Allows you to discover clues, unravel puzzles, and research things of interest, which would make sense if she was, you know, a little jack of all trades. And we have got 1 level left, guys. So we've got athletics 2, awareness 3, combat 2, insight 1, intimidation of 0, investigation of 2, clandestine 0, rating 0, or leadership of 0, occult of 4, persuasion of 1, science of 2, subterfuge of 0, and survival of 4. What do you guys think would be the best thing to throw a point into? We could go ahead and make some of our stuff that we have even stronger, or at least get like a little bit into something else. Occult and have a real strong specialty. You know what? If we're wearing like a double helix, I actually think an extra science would probably be good, though. I don't know. Let's do that. Let's go with science and technology. We're good with the occult, and we're good with the hypotheses and such. You raise your science and technology from 2 to 3. While you spent those years in Chicago, your 2 friends from Jericho Heights remained there. Your relationship with them drifted away, and you can't help but wonder if the 3 of you will ever be the Musketeers again. In fact, you recall the last time you saw them both down by Miller's Creek. Sarah with her long black hair she always let hang, and her ripped-up jean shorts and Foo Fighters concert t-shirt. Adam in the tank top with his school's logo and a Cubs cap. His dark hair always looked light in the sun. 3 of you talked about the future, and Adam, always Mr. Practical, predicted how the phone calls and emails would slow down the longer you were all away from each other. Sarah argued with him, saying she would come to visit you in Chicago and never let the distance keep you all apart. She only visited once, and that was your fault. You had made new friends and a new life, and Jericho Heights, along with the people in it, faded to the past. While you loved Adam and Sarah as friends, romance never came into the picture. You were... Wow, look at that. That's cool that they add so much variety. And that's the thing, guys. You know, it may not be a particular person's cup of tea, but it is great that they do that, so people feel, you know, I'm a fan. Probably attract, you know, teenagers growing up in the summer, hormones racing. Let's go. Yeah, costs literally nothing for them to be so. Spot on, Kath. Attracted to Sarah, but also liked other girls my age. Once off the highway, you slow the red beast and open the windows farther to let more of the cool nighttime air inside. Sanders' farm pops up on your right. Fields of produce and grazing land taking up the southeastern end of Jericho Heights. The smell of sweet corn blows on the wind, bringing back memories of your childhood, of Grandpa's cornbread with tomato jam, of Friday night buttered popcorn at the Royal Drive-In, of picking fresh ears for shucking and roasting the cobs over the open fires. On the northern end of the land sits a farmer's market where the Sanders share space with other local farmers. Everyone in town goes to the bustling market, and the families who set up shop and people who work there enjoy the status in town it brings. Next, you pass by Gallagher's Tavern, which is the go-to drinking spot for most of the town. On the sign out front, you note that they've added live music on Friday and Saturday nights. You've never actually been in Gallagher's. Farther down the road, you spot the First Bank of Jericho Heights, the oldest bank in town. Somehow, despite all the mergers and acquisitions in the financial world over the past 20 years, it's managed to remain independent. The brick-and-mortar building lords over other commercial spaces in the tiny strip of stores. A drive-through teller has been added since last you saw it, and extra parking has crept over, displacing Wilson's Pharmacy, like the bank has bullied the family out. You can picture Mr. Bumpley polishing the brass rails on Saturday morning before opening, on hands and knees with a clean cloth and the smelliest cleaning solution you've ever experienced, a cross between burnt eggs, sour apples, and licorice. His dark, slick-back hair and handlebar mustache gave him the appearance of a cartoon villain. In one vivid nightmare, you pictured him tying you to railroad tracks. He took great pride in maintaining the property and its original furniture and fixtures, like the bank would be angry at him if it lost its luster. One morning when you were young, your grandfather dressed in his Sunday suit and brought you to the bank to watch him sign what you later learned were loan papers. Mr. Bumpley handled the settlement personally, offering Grandpa a fresh, felt-tipped pen and turning each page for him with a gleam in his eye. You wonder if his soul was listed as collateral under Article 4, Section B. At least anyone who worked with old Marvin Bumpley or borrowed from his bank had the benefit of his favor. Turning the car onto Burns Road, spot the sheriff's office. Flat, square, white brick building with a wooden porch straight out of the Wild West. A banner stretched across the road ends any suspense on the identity of the current sheriff. Re-elect Raymond Alistair, sheriff. Really? Sheriff Raymond is still around? That must be in his 70s by now. When you last saw him, he was returned to work after hip replacement surgery and had considered retirement. Everyone in town assumed Marcus Williams would take over, but you remember hearing he was fired for some reason. The sheriff always had a laid-back attitude. He and Grandpa never got along, something about a late-night poker game and Dolores Bell, who used to run Jericho's premier hotel, the Bella Grande. You've seen the two men nearly trading fists over the direction of that woman's smile. Once you were old enough to understand the dynamics of love triangles, you realized Dolores had eyes for Sheriff Raymond, and your grandpa was trying to break up the dance. As the second most powerful figure in Jericho politics, Sheriff Raymond was someone to have in your corner, a fact Grandpa seemed to overlook or ignore. Your thoughts shift back to driving as you run a stop sign turning off Burns Road. You focus back on the here and now. The town looks largely how you remember it. Having spent several summers here, you formed loads of memories. You even remember working for... Oh, this is like the contacts. Sanders Farmers Market. Actually, considering the fact that our character knew so much about Mr. Bumpley, you know, and about like the cleaning solution and all that, I think out of all of these options, working at the first bank seems to be the most like spot on. It came off like, hey, we remember the farmer's market and the sheriff's office and Grandpa's, you know, argument with sheriff, but that seemed to be a little bit more visceral of a reaction. So yeah, let's go with the first bank of Jericho. Maybe we'll be good with our finances. Huzzah. Relationship with Mayor Marvin Bumpley. Oh, okay. You started at FBJ when you were 12 as a lowly sweeper, your official job title. After Grandpa signed the loan, Mr. Bumpley offered you a broom and a dustpan. You took to the task of keeping the place clean like a rooster in an empty henhouse. That was how Mr. Bumpley described it, and you certainly did enjoy it. You got to know a lot of the townspeople, enjoyed lunches at the nearby barbecue shack with Mrs. Pfeffercorn, Danny Albright, and Helen Smith, the three longtime tellers. And on Sundays, had the whole place to yourself as you waxed the floors and blasted WJER on the radio. Mr. Bumpley treated you like you were family and always made a big deal of stopping by Grandpa's shop to see you whenever you popped into town. Okay, that's more wholesome than I thought it would be. From working there for so many summers, you learned about personal finances, mainly how to save and grow your money. You drive the Red Beast down Red Tree Road, so named for the red maples and red cedars standing out from the woods. It's the longest road in town and ends close to your grandfather's house. Now your house. As you pass homes in the neighborhood, memories trigger from your childhood. The time you broke your ankle jumping out of Jessica Johnson's second-story window on a dare. When you helped paint a mural on the wall of the La Playa Community Center. Building a fire pit in Adam's backyard for a July 4th barbecue. All the images flow through your mind like a fast-moving slideshow. You slow the car and sink into your surroundings. Since it's your first time back in Jericho Heights in years, you can't fight the desire to reminisce. The memories take on a different timbre when you first catch sight of Bleak Rest House. Streetlights illuminate the exterior of the house and the hill on which it sits. Your hands turn sweaty and your heart patters as you stop the car to take in the house. Mansion, rather. You cut the engine and find yourself staring through the parted trees at the three-story colonial home with its stone white brick and its black slate roof, reminding you of two sharply pointed eyebrows. Sitting atop a hill overlooking the southern end of Jericho Heights, Bleak Rest House cast a long shadow into the valley, has always done so as one of the oldest houses in DeKalb County. Curse that Bleak Rest House is, Grandpa said when the new owners moved in. You watched from the bottom of the hill at the four moving vans carrying in steamer trunks and immense crates just after sundown. Every single owner has lived under the curse of that house. Whether it's an affliction, bankruptcy, or a devastating act of nature. When you sign that deed, you sign away all happiness. Have you ever been inside? You asked. Your grandfather didn't answer, then walked away. Strangely, the house looks far different than the images in your memory. Banks of lilies and sunflowers and other flowers, far more exotic than Illinois' wildflowers, rise along the walkway. The roof and brick walkway look pristine, like they're shielded from time and weather. A long metal pole juts from the attic with a satellite dish as long as your car. Sitting in the driveway is a sleek red sports car, though you're too far to see the model. Bleakrest House looks alive and vibrant, but you can't stop shivering until you look away. You start the engine and drive on, past the mini-mart, past Empire's used cars, and new businesses formed since your last visit. It's nighttime and the town looks dead. You people sit on porches or walk the streets. No children play in the parks. The only signs of life are those faces peeking out of windows. You recall an active town in the summers of your childhood, not this ghost-like version of Jericho. But it's only when you reach North Street with its family-owned shops and restaurants that Jericho seems alive. Dozens of townspeople walk along the broad cobbled street, and the red beast bounces and shakes until you coast to a stop in front of your grandfather's store. Ooh. Chapter 11, a bookstore, a popular spot for the townspeople. Okay, antiques and oddities, selling spiritual treaties, candles, crystals, and all sorts of occult paraphernalia. Chapter 11, a bookstore, popular spot for the townspeople. Fill the Void, a high-end furniture shop generating exceptional income. Forces and Elements, selling science and nature products. The Tangled Thread, a specialty thrift shop store with a large database of clients. What seems the most appropriate, guys? I'm thinking maybe the bookstore. It would definitely explain, the kind of jack of all trades all over the place kind of knowledge that Grandpa and apparently ourselves have. Does that make sense? Big database, though. The Tangled Thread, a specialty thrift store. But the bookstore makes sense. Okay, I'll go ahead and go with you guys. The Tangled Thread. He owned a thrift store. Another thing that you could get an eclectic, set of skills and knowledge from. Like a consignment store or some such. Dealing in clothing, home goods, furniture, games, and other products, all bought, sold, or on consignment, Tangled Thread is a well-trafficked store, catering to young and old in all styles and interests. While products are only marked up a small amount, the high volume of sales makes the shop modestly profitable. Stepping out of your car, you spot a familiar face across the street. Standing under a street lamp, Sarah Morelli smiles at you. She's got that piercing though. Hey there, stranger, she says and strides towards you. Hi, Salem, you say. Sometime in high school, everyone started calling her Salem after an oral presentation on the Salem witch trials and her own interest in witchcraft. At first, students teased her with the nickname, but she owned it, and the name stuck. She throws her arms around your neck and the two of you hug. When you lean back, you can't help but stare at her for a moment, shocked at her appearance. Already you feel flush in her presence and your stomach tightens. What? She says, backing away. She wears skinny jeans with white motorcycle boots and a t-shirt for a band called Screeching Dinosaur. Just below her hairline sits a small pink scar, a living memory of her father's malignant notion of discipline. Sorry, you just look a bit different from the last time I saw you. I like the purple highlights in your hair. And you got a nose ring. See, this is why you need Instagram. She smiles again with perfect teeth. Not those big wire braces from high school. Her face is leaner, jaw stronger, and she even seems taller, though that's not possible. She holds her head up high. I guess I just became myself. I'm debating between, like, the new look suits you, or are you in witness protection? When am I getting purple highlights in a nose ring? I would get purple highlights. I'd never get a... I prefer the old you. Ugh. Plus 200, douchebag, I agree. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tease. Maybe a little bit of sarcasm. Are you in witness protection? Sarcastic +8. She brings a finger to her lips. Shh, don't tell anyone. She smirks, swinging her arms back by her side. I wish my life were that exciting. Things in the Heights aren't exactly pulling in national news crews. Wish I lived in a big city. You know, once I visited New York with my Aunt Betsy. We were wild, eating dinner at 7:30 in the evening, jaywalking, going to R-rated movies. Why did I ever come home? Relationship with Salem +8. Your joking always brings out Salem's natural sarcasm. Two of you share a laugh, and then she grows somber. It's good to see you, she says. I'm so sorry about your grandfather. Thanks, it happened fast. He didn't even tell the rest of the family until it was stage 4. She nods in a knowing way. Well, that was your grandpa. He didn't want people to help him with anything. Remember when we had that really bad snowstorm a few years ago? Definitely. It was bad enough in Chicago. We got 2.5 feet of snow. We got over 3 feet. The morning after it stopped falling, I was shoveling the sidewalk in front of his store when he came out and chased me away. If I need your help, it's my last day on Earth, he yelled. Her voice turns into your grandfather's gruff tone, along with his puffed out cheeks. You let out a laugh. Wow, your impression of him is still perfect. He's so stubborn, I can't believe he chased you off. Later on, he shoveled his whole property in the front of my house and my neighbor's. He showed me. She laughs, shaking her head. So, it is true you're some kind of fortune teller? Or is it true? I heard some wild rumors about you. I wouldn't call myself a fortune teller, but someone who studies the paranormal. I'll have to tell you about it sometime. A ripple of thunder spreads through the clouds and a few drops of rain hit the ground. The wind picks up, blowing leaves down the street. Quite a few are already gathered in the entrance of the tangled thread, along with trash and other debris. I hate to say this, but your grandfather's place is a mess. No one's been in there, not even to collect mail or packages. We all wanted to, but even after he passed, the whole town respected his space and stayed out. We all knew he wouldn't want us touching it. To be honest, it feels like he's still around, like he's just out of sight. She stares at the storefront. You can almost read her thoughts. Like you, she's probably envisioning your grandpa working on a window display. Something elaborate and overdone. Like when he recreated a London Fashion Week runway using clothes from his store. That's no problem. I'll take care of it. Salem gestures at the shop over her shoulder. Well, I can help you clean everything out, if you want. I'm guessing you'll be here just long enough to sell the place and then back to the city? And you'll at least be here for the summer festival next weekend? Yeah, there's no way I'm staying in this dump any longer than I have to. And as for your help, I expect you to clean the whole store, well, eating bonbons. Sarcastic +9, conniving +5, relationship with Salem +4. She holds back a smile. No problem. I'll give you a good rate on my cleaning services. Oh, you're charging me? Janet Morelli didn't raise a fool. By the way, look over my shoulder. Is she watching us? You look across the street at Salem's house. Mrs. Morelli peeks out from behind a curtain. She sure is. Salem hangs her head in her hands. Really, Mother? You'd think I was under house arrest. She twists her body around and nods to a house across the street with a red canopy awning. I've been thinking of moving over there. It's owned by a nice couple who are just married and travel a lot. They only want $300 a month, but it's a tiny attic room. I need to save up a bit more, but at least as close to my parents. You look across the street to where she's pointing and spot a room for rent sign in a window. Well, how are your mom and stepdad? She shrugs. Mom's still mom, nosy and naggy. Dad's great. He's had some medical stuff going on, but things seem to be better now. The rain picks up, wetting your clothes, and a flash of lightning follows a thunderclap. The glass windows of your grandfather's store rattle in the wind. Several dogs bark from a short distance. I should get going. Salem wraps her arms around her body and squints to see through the downpour. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Go. Get out of the rain. All right. Well, take care. And welcome back to Jericho Heights. She runs off, leaping over puddles like she's playing hopscotch. XP points +3. You hurry out of the rain under the canopy and shake off a chill. Not having been in the store for a few years has you rushing to get inside. You just want to sit down your belongings, unpack your car, and assess what needs to be done. The sooner you get things in order, the quicker you can figure out your plans for the future. As you fumble for the keys to the deadbolt, a gust of wind blows against your back, renewing your chill. In a flash of lightning, you catch a reflection in the glass, a figure standing by your car. You spin around, but there's nothing there but darkness. It flows from street level up the side of the building. You step out from the canopy and hold your arm over your head to shield your eyes against the rain. What did you see? Nothing. The side of your grandfather's store is clear. A curtain from an open window on the second floor flutters outward in the shape and motion of an apparition. Your hands weave a protection symbol over you. In the days before science and religion, other forces kept humans free of hauntings, and you've learned to invoke such powers. Whatever dark creature is stalking you in the shadows has a purpose. Is it for good or evil? Sometimes the scales of morality are not so balanced, and intentions of otherworldly beings are not this or that, black or white. The thing saw you, knows you're in town, and has a reason for revealing itself. Your presence in Jericho Heights has not gone unnoticed. Chapter 2. Alright guys, well, I think that was a very good intro to this story. I'm liking Jericho Heights. I'm definitely getting a Stranger Things kind of vibe. Or, you know, the typical kind of going back to your hometown. They threw a lot of like really good kind of nostalgia and Americana in there. And, but you can tell that there's a little bit of sinister undertone. And I dig that quite a bit. So, we're going to go ahead and end the stream here. We're just going to do every episode is just going to be a full chapter of the game. And looks like we're going with an occultist. And, we'll see. Suzanne, I'm gripped about this tale of Grampire and Mothman. For sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys haven't followed the Twitch channel, please do so. I try and stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays with random times in between. And if you're watching the replay of this on YouTube, I have a link to the Twitch channel in the description below, a link to the game as well via its Steam page, and a link to my Extra Life page where I'm raising money for my local children's hospital via the incredible Extra Life charity. So check out those links if you feel so inclined. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill there. And we will see you next time. Later days, everyone.